What's up, Hayden?
What's up, Jonah?
What's going on, Hayden?
How's it going, Kellan?
How are you doing, man? I'm doing good.
I'm doing great.
Right on. Let's go.
Fantastic.
Sick. Dude, Jonah, I love the little logos you put on there. That's pretty dope.
Oh, thank you.
You're a freaking spreadsheet wizard, dude.
Yeah, it's been fun to organize our predictions. I'm excited to look. I've never really kept track of my predictions too well, so it'll be interesting to see how these turn out for us.
Yes, sir. So this is a new squad we got here. We've never had this quattro, four guys on the podcast at the same time. So yeah, so Jonah, we're gonna be doing NBA awards for 2021 season.
Yeah. Yep. We're on the eve of the first night of preseason NBA basketball, and we finished our team predictions. So I thought, what better way to keep this theme going than with the individual awards? And so we're going to be going through the 6 major awards that the NBA hands out each season and making our picks on who's going to win them.
Let's go. Wait, but first of all, I want to say something. Hayden.
Yeah.
I need to ask you straight up right now. How do you and Anders drop so many freaking points in Madden, dude?
Kellan, it's just about being good at the game.
Bro, I don't understand. You can run 4 verts all day and I can run prevent and you still destroy me.
It's a lot of practice and just absolutely abusing the CPU.
Have you ever competed in the
Tournaments? No. Brody and I, we got up to the top 1% a couple Maddens ago in mud squads. So
really?
Yeah.
So you're
that was pretty cool. Shout out to Brody Johannesson.
So you're basically like TD Barrett, dude.
Basically.
That's awesome. Okay, I just had to get that out of the way there because Hayden somehow can drop 100 points in the blink of an eye in Madden. I just don't understand how that's physically possible. But yeah, sick. So Jonah, should we start from what category did you want to start with?
I guess we might as well just start with the big kahuna, so the MVP.
Really? You want to start with MVP?
Do you think that would be a little bit anticlimactic? Do you think we better save that to the end?
Let's start with coach.
Coach of the year? Okay, yeah, that's a good boring one to lead us off.
Yes, sir. Okay, who wants to start it off? Does Hayden want to give us his future coach of the year?
You want me to give you my coach of the year?
Let's go.
I think this is a lock for coach of the year. Okay. I think 2-time NBA MVP Steve is going to win coach of the year.
Who?
Steve Nash.
Oh, wow.
He's going to lead the Brooklyn Nets to a top seed in the Eastern Conference.
Wow.
Okay. He's a well-known name by the media. Okay. And he is going to be the coach of the year.
Interesting. I like it. I'm digging that pick, dude. It's going to be, dude, if everybody stays healthy on that team, they're going to be fire.
It's going to be a good team. It's going to be a high-seeded team. And Nash is going to get all the coverage, and he's going to win coach of the year.
I like it. And even if they get Harden, bro, add that in there. He doesn't even have to coach. He can pick a day.
Are you concerned with the chemistry issues with Kyrie?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think people overstate the chemistry issues with Kyrie.
Really?
I truly I think in Boston it was a little upsetting only because Jason Tatum was there and they wanted to get him and Hayward looks, but it's just going to be him and Durant, and you have that bench unit. And I think Steve Nash, him being a coach with I want to say they have Jason Kidd on the staff too. I just think those coaches and those mentors will be able to guide Kyrie. I think he's a lock for coach of the year.
Yeah, and just to jump off of what Wesley was saying about being a bit of a tough guy to work with, I actually think that is sort of true because, practices have only been going on for less than a week, and we've already seen Kyrie get fined for not talking to the media. So he's definitely not an easy guy to keep in line. But just to spoil my pick, I also took Steve Nash to win coach of the year. And I actually think that Kyrie sort of being difficult is going to be something that helps him, because usually for Coach of the Year, we see two roads on how to win that award. And one of those routes is to sort of defy expectations and lead a mediocrely talented team to the playoffs, or like Nick Nurse did last year, overcome a lot of injuries to be a top 2 seed in the East, or coaches that are able to succeed in difficult situations, I often think get recognized as well. So like an example of that from last year would be like Frank Vogel, who oftentimes coaches struggle like having LeBron as their star player. We've seen that like David Blatt, Luke Walton, just it's not an easy gig, and Vogel pulled that off. I think that's going to help out Steve Nash, because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are both very mercurial superstars. Like, they're kind of moody. It's difficult to get them to sort of buy in to the system. And I think Steve Nash is sort of in that kind of Steve Kerr mold of just a very emotionally intelligent guy. And I think he'll do a great job of managing egos, managing that locker room. And I think he will, like Hayden was saying, lead the Nets to a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference this year.
He better, bro. Jesus, when you got Katie and Kyrie. I mean, God, you got Karis LeVert up in there too, man.
Dinwiddie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Are you gonna give Shannon's like honorary? Are you gonna speak for him? Did he not give him to you yet?
He hasn't given to me he hasn't given any predictions.
Probably
yet,
gonna be Terry Stotts anyway. Yeah. It doesn't even.
Yeah, I'll fill him in when he does, and then
right.
We'll update on the next podcast.
Sounds good. Should I just get mine out of the way? It's probably not going to be a shocker to anybody. I think Steve Kerr is going to lead the worst basketball team last year back to a 2 or at least 2 seed, maybe even a 1 seed in the West, dude. He's going to lead him back. Steve Kerr. He's going to get another Coach of the Year award. I don't know. That death lineup with Oubre, Draymond, Wiseman, Steph, and then we got like Pascal coming off the bench. It's going to be filthy.
All right, Wesley, who do you think is going to win?
Jonah just wants to move right on.
Who do you think is going to win Steve of the Year?
So for my pick, I kind of have a surprise pick. I think the Sixers have a comeback season. I think Doc Rivers unlocks the ceiling potential of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and I think the Sixers have their best season, and they get a top 2 seed in the East.
A top 2 seed, wow.
Yeah.
That's bold.
I'm very high on the acquisition of Seth Curry on the team.
Yeah.
I think he'll really help space the floor for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I really liked what they did this year too. I mean, obviously, Wesley hasn't been on the last few times, so he hasn't been able to talk about these teams with us. But I really enjoyed how instead of like everybody was telling them like Simmons and Embiid would never work, you have to like try something different. And instead, they built a roster that I think really does a great job of accentuating those 2 players' strengths. And I actually think I really like what they did with the team. So I could totally see Doc Rivers like leading them to a surprise season and getting this award.
Yes, sir, dude. Dude, MIP. This is going to be interesting. I can't wait to hear what people have to say for this one, bro. Who wants to? You just want to go again, Hayden?
Sure. I think most improved player, and the media is going to get behind him, okay? Because it's also a comeback story. I think Markelle Fultz.
Okay, yeah.
Player. I think he's going to be averaging 20 plus. I want to say he only averaged 12 or 13 this last year. And most improved, a lot of it is points per game. So I think unless some bench player just kind of comes out of nowhere, like Devontae Graham or Bam, for most improved, I think Markelle Fultz, I think Orlando is going to explode with him next season, with him becoming kind of more of a centerpiece of the offense. I think he's got a really good shot at it.
I like that pick.
Yeah, Markelle Fultz. Yeah, it would be really cool to see him because he has not really done much.
I really want to see him succeed because he's just had a very tough start. But I think I see a lot of potential in him as well.
Yeah.
Facts.
I like the pick because I do think that Fultz is going to improve. And I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in terms of just additions he could make to his game and stuff that could get better. Like the shooting is always going to be a question mark, but I think finishing at the basket, like for such an athletic guy, just getting a little bit of explosiveness. And I want to say he got COVID before the bubble started, so I don't think he was in the best conditioning just going into those games, and it definitely showed. Like he definitely struggled. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the situation he's put in this year. Like last year, you had DJ Augustine as sort of the fallback, and Fultz could play next to him. And so Fultz could concentrate on the areas he was good at. And if the offense ever like fell into the mud, then that was something DJ Augustine could take care of. But Fultz is just kind of getting thrown to the wolves. Like if he doesn't work out, it's him or Cole Anthony, or I guess Michael Carter Williams, but I don't think anybody wants to see that happen. So I just don't know if Fultz has the skill set to be like the guy, like running a good NBA offense. And I think if the Magic offense struggles, which is something I expect, I would have a hard time seeing him get this award. But I do think that just in terms of like the talent getting better and just like honing in his skills, I do think that he's a guy we could see upgrade his game quite a bit this season.
I think if he averages 20 points a game, it'll be an empty 20 points a game. I mean, the Magic might go on to win 15, 20 games, and I think Fultz will just rack up points and blow out losses.
Okay, yeah,
I think that's the reasoning.
Yeah,
behind the pick for me.
Hey, Jonah.
Yeah.
How did you hook it up so all of his stats come up?
Oh, VLOOKUPs, baby.
Huh?
VLOOKUP.
Hey.
It's an Excel thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, did you like hook up a link to it or something? And it?
No, you just have to make a table with like all the stats and stuff, and then you can you can do like a.
Give me a tutorial.
VLOOKUP, and I'll tell you.
How'd you learn this? Did you take a class?
Yeah, business.
Nice.
All right. So for my most improved player, I went with OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors. And this is a guy who I've already said before, I think he's criminally underrated. I think OG is already a very good NBA player. But I think everybody knows he's one of, if not the best wing defenders in the league. I think what you got to look up at in terms of improvement this year is the offensive end. And he was just last year, he was an analytics darling. And I think that almost might have worked against him because he shot 91% of his attempts either from beyond the 3-point arc, primarily in the corners, or right at the basket. Like, I think he took between 1 and 2 3-pointers a game. And I think 75% of those were from the corner, and he cashed in at 40%. So he can shoot. And I think he'll definitely increase the attempts this year, which I think is going to be huge in increasing his points per game. Like Hayden said, this is often, well, all of these pretty much are often points-based awards. And I think we'll see Anunoby get up into the mid-teens. I think he'll keep the efficiency going. Nick Nurse has said he envisions Anunoby putting the ball on the floor a lot more this year, which I think is definitely something that he's capable of, and something he actually improved quite a bit last season. He went from being a straight line drive guy who he was either going straight to the basket and finishing and getting fouled, or drawing a charge or turning it over. Like he was much more a like make a decision and go instead of a read and react driver, which is something he worked on and it showed throughout the season. And I just think having the game slow down for him and having that extra skill and that extra sort of awareness when he does put the ball on the floor is going to open up so many more avenues in terms of offensive game. Like Nurse said, we might see him shoot a few more mid-rangers this year, and he's got good touch. So I definitely think that's something he's capable of. And along with his elite defensive skill set and the efficiency he's already showcased on offense and his athleticism, which allows him to power up around the rim, I think he's going to have a big season, not to mention with the absence of Ibaka and Gasol. When they were playing the Celtics, we saw him go to lineups where Anunoby guarded the center. And granted, he allowed Tice to get some pretty easy buckets, and it didn't always look the best. But I think that's something he'll have a chance to improve on this year, and I think he will. So I'm going OG Anunoby for most improved.
He played a nice amount of games last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I wish
sir.
the Blazers drafted him.
Yeah. Same.
It might be hard for him to get points on that Raptors team, though. Because, I mean, between Lowry, Van Fleet, and Siakam, that's like he's going to have to cement himself as like the third or second option. And I feel like that might be a little difficult.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. I think it would be difficult for him to like work himself up to the top of the pecking order there, but I do think he's not going to ever be a high usage guy. Like I think his usage will always probably hover around 15%, but I just think he's going to do such a better job sort of making the most out of those opportunities, I guess. I mean, he was already efficient last year, but I just think on the touches he's going to be more aggressive, and he's going to have a larger suite of offensive skills to work with. And so, yeah. And so I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be like the lead initiator or even the secondary or tertiary initiator on this Raptors team, but I think he's really going to thrive in the role, which he does have.
Yes, sir. Should I go?
Yeah, go for it, Kellan.
All right. Can you just? I'm gonna say other guys, but can you just humor me and put in Jordan Poole's numbers there? Because I just want to see what his 3-point percentage was in his field goal percent.
Everybody, close your eyes. Oh, the carnage!
Oh my! Look at that field goal percentage, dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty. You don't have to do much to improve on.
No.
You literally. Oh my god, that's completely okay. But for my legit one, because I was gonna say Jordan Poole, but I don't think so. I'm gonna go with. I wrote down John Wall and Jamal Murray, but I'll just go with Jamal Murray because I feel like it's a pretty popular pick considering like what he did in the bubble.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm remembering correctly, maybe one of you guys can correct me on this. I'm pretty sure they said the bubble wouldn't count towards the awards this year. So, like for example, Bulls still eligible for like Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, even if Murray, like even if that technically doesn't count towards the awards, I just feel like the performance he had in the bubble, like as an anchor for the voters, I mean, you can't just like censor that from your mind. So I feel like if anything, how well he played in the bubble will affect their initial perception of him a little bit. But I do think there's room for improvement even more over the course of the season. So Kellan, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead and tell us why you picked Jamal.
Oh, I just think Jamal's a stud. And when I watched him in the bubble, it didn't seem like he could miss a shot.
Yeah.
You know? And I liked him when he was at Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's good there. Obviously. But yeah, I don't know. His floaters are nasty and his like mid-range game. And it's like, I don't know. He just makes some odd shots and he can take over a game, which is pretty sweet.
He's going to need to average like high 20s to get the award, I think.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Yeah. He's going to need a lot of points.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because when you think about where his baseline was at the end of this year.
What did he average? Points per game last year?
19 points per game.
Oh, okay. So he's almost.
Yeah, so I mean, he would have to be fringe. Well, he would have to be a solid all-star. He'd have to make the all-star game. I was going to say he'd have to be fringe all-NBA, but making all-NBA as a guard is so tough. I don't know if I want to hold him to that standard, but yeah, he definitely needs to be all-star for sure.
Yeah. All right, so for my pick, I'm going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So basically, when I look at the Thunder's offseason, like they lost Chris Paul, they lost Gallo, they lost Steven Adams, so they lost a lot of key contributors. Dennis Schroeder too. So I think they're basically handing the keys of the franchise to Shai, and he's going to run the show. And I think he's going to average like about 22 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. I think he's just going to be insane this year, and he's going to easily get the award, I think.
Yeah, and this is something we talked about when we did our Western Conference previews. Like the cupboard's not exactly bare in Oklahoma City. Like people have been talking like, oh, OKC sucks. Like they're tanking for Cade Cunningham, which they certainly are. And that's certainly the direction the franchise is heading. But they actually have some tools on this team and some players on this team who I think can be conducive to playing good basketball this year, especially when I look at a player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I actually think Al Horford would be a very nice pick and roll partner to Shai and will accent his strength almost. I want to say I like that pairing even better than a Shai Steven Adams pick and roll. And they have Trevor Ariza, they have George Hill, they've got some floor spacers. And so I do think that Shai, like, even though the perception of this Thunder team hasn't been all that positive, I do think the personnel is set up in a way where Shai is put in a position to succeed.
Yeah, I also think Darius Baisley is also in for a big year, I think.
Yeah, he's actually another guy that people are like sort of sneakily talking about for this award because he showed some big strides during the bubble. So yeah, that's a great point too.
What about, I was just, when I was looking up some candidates, like Marvin Bagley was coming up.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's a good option too.
I don't know. I just saw him.
If he can stay healthy, I think he would have to really improve, but I think he's there. I think he could.
Yeah, and if
I have
the
no
Kings
idea.
go back to playing how they were under, I'm never going to be able, Dave Yeager, and they ran a lot and they got out in transition. I think that would be, I think that would suit Bagley a lot better than the offense they ran last year. Shannon picked a guy who I really like for this award, and that's Derek White. So another guy to sort of be on the lookout for. Along with his backcourt mate, I think DeJounte Murray could be a sleeper for this as well.
Yeah.
Poor Shannon. He can't be here. Sad day.
And I don't know if you guys saw me fill this in, but Shannon is on the Steve Nash bandwagon as well for Coach of the Year.
There's a good shot it could be a Steve.
Yeah.
I forgot Steve Nash. Steve Nash is savage, dude.
Yeah. Are there any... What was that?
No, I was just going to say 6th man of the year, 6 Modi.
Yeah. Any last thoughts about most improved, or are you guys ready to move along?
Oh, I was going to say, I think on the Thunder, somebody more likely to win it than Shai might be Lou Dort.
Oh, baby.
He had an insane bubble.
That's my favorite player in the league.
and like, I think he is going to have a really good shot at increasing all of his things. all of his stats across the board, and he's good at defense. I think he's a sleeper pick for
nice.
Yeah,
that boy's a tank, dude. Savagery. Okay, Hayden, do you just want to keep going off on that and give us your 6 Modi?
Sure. Okay, so if I knew what the depth chart was for sure, I would say Seth Curry on the Sixers. Because I think he's going to be putting up insane numbers. But I'm almost positive that by the start of the season, he's going to be the starter. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to pick him for 6 man. But my 6 man right now is Spencer Dinwiddie.
Wow.
Right now, they have him playing behind LeVert and Irving. And as long as Kyrie stays healthy, Dinwiddie's going to be the backup. And I think he's going to be posting a lot of points, a lot of stats. He's going to be leading that second unit on the Nets, and I think the Nets are going to be a good team. I think he's got it all together to win 6 man, and that's all as long as Kyrie Irving stays healthy and is a normal point guard. Dinwiddie comes in as the true 6 man, and I think he's going to run away with it.
There you go.
I think one of the things Hayden hit the nail right on the head with this pick is that this is often. 6 man of the year is like code word for leading scorer off the bench in the NBA. And Dinwiddie is a guy who likes to go out and for sure get some shots up. I mean, you see it right here. He scored 21 points. And I mean, in theory, he was Kyrie's backup. But I want to say he ended up starting quite a few games for him.
He started 49 games last year, I think.
Yeah.
Like it was quite a few.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because Kyrie was hurt for the majority of the year. So my hope is that Kyrie is healthy 100% and Dinwiddie is then the backup for the majority of it. I know it in some scenarios, 6 man goes to a person that started half of the year, but I still think Dinwiddie's a really solid pick for it.
Yeah, and I think another like hallmark of six man of the year winners, which I think Dinwiddie might not match up to this criteria quite as well, is I think six man of the year tend to like finish games as well. So like we saw that with Schroeder, and then obviously Derrick Rose was a prime contender last year who finished games, and then the year before Lou Williams. And so I just think Dinwiddie's going to have a hard time finding his way onto the floor in sort of those high leverage moments. Because, like you were saying, like Levert, Kyrie, like even Kevin Durant, obviously they don't play the same position, but both guys who like to have the ball in their hands and kind of go to work that way. So, sort of overlapping skill sets, if not overlapping positions. But I do think like the scoring off the bench is just going to be like such a big asset to Dinwiddie that he's for sure going to be in these conversations. So I think that's a great pick.
Yes, sir. Jonah, who you got?
So I went with somebody in a similar vein to Spencer Dinwiddie, sort of that off the bench shooter, scoring guy on ball oftentimes. And I think the hype for this player has gotten a little bit out of control. But I still think he's going to have a tremendous season, be a lot better than last year even. And that is Tyler Hero, who we saw playing big minutes, closing games in the NBA Finals for the Miami Heat. This is obviously a guy that Heat franchise likes quite a bit and have quite a bit invested in him. I mean, I don't think any of us believe the rumors that they wouldn't trade him for James Harden, but just the fact that they can say that and have it be a semi-credible threat, I think speaks to how much they believe in Hero. And I think that belief will translate into an even bigger role on the team this season. Like you look at Kendrick Nunn. I mean, obviously Tyler Hero is better than Nunn. You look at Dragic. Dragic was amazing in the bubble last year and so fun to watch. And he was really their second best player for large swaths of time. But I think he's kind of aging out and Tyler Hero is aging in as sort of the off the bench creator for that team. And so, yeah, just the combination of being in that closing lineup. Tyler is a guy who takes a lot of big shots late in games and he gets to play with the ball in his hands. Like he really did start to develop that pick and roll chemistry with Bam Adebayo. And I think that's really what's going to unlock Tyler's role as even a higher usage player and not just like a shooting, like spacing threat. I think if he really works on that pick and roll game and sort of his decision making, that will allow him to be a more well-rounded offensive creator. I think that's really going to be what allows him to increase his role in Miami and like just expand on his game in an overall sense.
Nice. Dude, yeah, what's his 3-point percentage? Is that just straight up 40?
Yeah.
Damn.
I should have made these all percentages, but yeah.
Nice. That's sick. Yeah, he's a dead eye, bro. You want to hear mine? Keeping it with the theme of staying in the West. Let's go with none other than Gary Trent Jr.
Okay.
Yes,
wow.
sir.
Bang, 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 bang. It's so sick. I don't know why. I mean, I obviously didn't watch a ton of basketball because I didn't want to because the Warriors were absolute trash. But when I was watching Gary Trent, he was just he's just a guy you want to root for. And he plays hard defense and he can also score the basketball. He's just sick. He's just a perfect compliment, I feel like, for CJ and Dame. He's just another guy kind of like them. And so, yeah. But he honestly, I mean, he probably, Jonah, like in terms of like six man, he'll play a lot though, right? You know what I mean? Six man usually have some minutes restrictions.
I would hope so. I mean, yeah, I hope so. I really hope so.
What's the requirement? Like he just wouldn't be in the starting five, I guess.
Yeah, the only requirement is that you can't start more than half of your team's games.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm with you. I really hope he plays. It's hard to tell with Terry sometimes. Like I bet Rodney and Melo. I mean, the Blazers are just crazy deep this year. So yeah. I think that would be my main concern with Gary is he going to get enough minutes to sort of build up the statistical profile for this award? But yeah, I don't think there are very few people who would question like his talent at this point. I mean, right. Wesley, do you want to kind of talk about what you think his role is going to be on this Blazer team?
Yeah, I see Gary's role as I think he's going to get about 25 points a game. I think he'll definitely,
25?
I think he'll play more than Melo, I think.
Yeah.
So and also he's going to be in a contract year, so that could be very motivating for him.
Yeah, and you heard like all the not the rumors. I mean, he just flat out said that he's not going to sign the extension. He's going to hit free agency next year. And so that does kind of make me want to think that he expects he can build off his performance from last year. Like like declining an extension is just like a flat out sign that you're betting on yourself, and he wouldn't be betting on himself if he didn't think he'd have the minutes in the role to sort of show everybody what he can do. So Wesley, you think he's going to be averaging 25 points a game? So I assume I can ride in Gary Trent.
Wait, no. I said 25 minutes.
Oh, 25 minutes.
I thought you said 25 points a game. I'm like, what is like CJ and Dame going to get, guy? Like, holy moly.
Did I say points or minutes?
Swear to God, you said points.
Oh,
I was like, damn, son. It's a big boost up. He could get most improved and six man at the same time.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened, Jonah?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, it makes sense. I bet it has.
Yeah. So
Wesley, who do you have?
All right. So for my pick, I'm going with Terry Rozier.
Nice.
And I think I'm just counting on the fact that they're going to start Devontae Graham and LaMelo Ball in the backcourt. So I think Terry Rozier, he's just a proven scorer, and I think he's really going to put up the stats in big minutes too. So I project like around 17, 16 points a game, and I think he's my pick. I think he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to get a lot of shots, and yeah.
I think people sleep on Terry Rozier. Like they see the contract and automatically just like, I think it's overblown, like how bad that contract is, because he is an elite shooter. He was 40% last year? Yeah, he was 40%. And I think that increased to like 48 or 49% or just something unreal off of catch and shoot threes. And you imagine with LaMelo, with Devontae Graham, with Gordon Hayward, like his diet of shots is going to be a lot easier. Like he probably will be shooting more of those catch and shoot threes, which play right into his hand. And he's got a little off the dribble juice. So I do think Terry Rozier is an excellent prediction for this award. I just kind of worry that maybe people aren't watching the Hornets. Maybe they don't want to pick a guy on Charlotte. But yeah, he like Terry Rozier. I think he'll have the stats to match anybody else on this list. And Shannon is going to side with me and pick Tyler Hero for this award.
Nice. What about like Duncan?
He's a starter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Miami has Eric Spoelstra kind of is a little weird because he starts Myers Leonard too and Kendrick Nunn. Like he brings a lot of his best players off the bench, which is funny. But I mean, you can't. I mean, he made the finals, so
yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
All right, DPOY baby. Let's go, Hayden. Who you got, DPOY, my guy?
Okay, for Defensive Player of the Year, he started to gain some traction last year on it. And I think the bubble really helped him out in this push. I think Anthony Davis is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. I really like people like Gobert defensively. I'm a big Gobert fan. And I think his defense for the Jazz is underrated for what he brings, but I don't think the voters will go back to him as a Defensive Player of the Year. I think everything is pointing towards Anthony Davis getting it. I think the finals run was great, even though LeBron got the finals MVP. And I think Anthony Davis will be heading that Lakers team. And I think his defense will be a huge part of it.
I like it. That's who I had as well. But I'll say a different guy just to switch things up a little bit. But Jonah, who do you got?
So I have Anthony Davis as well.
Oh boy.
He was like heavily in contention for this award last year, as Hayden was saying. Just a great shot blocker. Probably was the best help side defender in the NBA last year. I think what were his steals numbers? Yeah, he averaged 1.5 steals a game, which is just ridiculous for a player like Anthony Davis. I think what ended up hurting him the most was as like a 7-footer, as this big, like, as this like big rim protecting presence. His like shot percentage at the rim allowed and his defensive rebounding percentage were not what you would think they would be. And a lot of that had to do with Dwight Howard being there, and simply like Dwight Howard was kind of taking away a lot of like the responsibilities and a lot of like the low hanging fruit that you would typically associate with a 7-footer who wins Defensive Player of the Year. And Dwight Howard's not there. And instead of Dwight Howard is a defensive center who's quite possibly one of the worst defensive centers in the NBA in Montrezl Harrell. And as much as I've sort of critiqued the Lakers on that signing, and I think it's a terrible signing, in terms of Anthony Davis improving his defensive statistics, at least in the counting categories, I think it's actually going to help him out. Now, the Lakers defense, I don't think it's going to be better because LeBron was insanely locked in last year. Having Howard and McGee in the paint just was just so hard to score on the inside with them. And I don't think that'll be the case with Hera. I mean, it'll still be hard. It's Anthony Davis. But yeah, I just think having a defensive role that's more conducive to putting up these stats will be helpful. A guy who I thought about as well is Bam Adebayo. And Bam Adebayo, I just think he kind of suffers like Anthony Davis does from not having like the typical big man stats, like not allowing like a crazy field goal percentage at the rim, like not being in the mid 40s, and that Bam's never going to be that guy. Like the defense that Bam excels at is like the switchable, like versatile defense that really is more important for 16 games in the springtime than it is during the regular season. So I just don't really think he's this like archetype of defender, even though he is an elite defensive player in his own right. But I'm going to be going with Anthony Davis. And Kellan, do you want to go with Anthony Davis too now?
I don't want to go with Anthony Davis. I'm going to switch mine up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a guy that was basically a coach last year. And I feel like he has been... Yes, let's go. 2016-17 DPOY of the year, my guy. Let's get it. Draymond Green's getting his boys back. I think he can focus on defensive side of the ball a little bit more. Let's go. Draymond Green, sleeper pick. Put your money on it right now, dude.
That's not a sleeper pick. He's in a coma. He's got COVID.
All right.
No, dude, Draymond Green, let's go. He's still got juice in the tank.
All right.
Don't sleep on Draymond. Okay.
So I also had Anthony Davis. I think.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. I just think he just passes the eye test when it comes to being just a force in the paint, and he's just every time like a guard drives in, I always think like, oh, AD's just gonna get that. I think, and also he just analytically, I think he's always a beast, and yeah, I think he's easily gonna win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he can get second.
I think to touch on Bam for Defensive Player of the Year, I think he reminds me a lot of prime Draymond Green for those Warrior teams. More of a team defender. I mean, he's still good one-on-one. Like he's still elite. Yeah. But the majority of his game comes from that team defense. And I don't think we're going to get another Defensive Player of the Year that is heavily a team defender, unless it's on one of those all-time teams that wins 67 plus games. And I just don't see the Heat doing that.
Like last year, like Giannis is sort of that mold as well, like more of a team defender. But like you were saying, like the Bucks were so good and had one of the best defenses of the decade. So people can let that slide.
Yeah.
And Shannon went with a player who I'm not going to respond to this too much because Shannon's not here to defend himself. But Shannon went with Jimmy Butler, which seems a little bit out there, but I'm sure he has his reasons.
I think if any guard or like kind of wing is going to win it, I think it'd be like Ben Simmons. I'd pick Ben Simmons as like a perimeter player to win it all. I
actually thought about Ben Simmons. That's a great point. Yeah.
Ben Simmons was my number 2 behind Anthony Davis.
Yeah, he was my number 3 behind AD and Adebayo. And then I had Gobert, like you were saying, and then I actually had OG Anunoby, even though I think he has no chance of winning it. But I think he's a very impactful defender.
Hey, Pat Bev got a vote last year. Anything can happen.
True. True. All right, this is the one I struggled with the most. Rookie of the year.
What are you talking about? It's pretty clear cut. And come on, man. Hayden, who's your roadie?
Kellan, I think I know who you're gonna pick. I'm gonna pick the actual winner. I'm gonna pick Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks. Yeah.
Let's go.
It's a lock. It's a lock.
Wow.
Okay. LaMelo, here's the thing. LaMelo, he has way too much hype around him. Okay. If he wins it, it's just a rig. It's a rigged vote from the beginning. Okay. The media is pushing him too much. I think Obi's taking the reins of the Knicks. He's going to bump Julius Randle to a third string power forward. Okay. He's going to be scoring 18 plus. Okay. I think he's got it.
I love it.
Got it.
And I've talked about Obi Toppin a lot on this show.
Not in a positive manner either.
And mostly in a negative context. But I actually do think he could put up like some good numbers. And I do think this Knicks team is just so shooting deprived and so spacing deprived that I think Obi Toppin is going to be a very important piece of their rotation, especially considering like he can move the ball in transition as well, which I think is another weakness of this group. So I think Obi is going to have some skills that the Knicks are going to like make use of. And I do think he's going to probably average like 12 points, 4 rebounds on this team, maybe like 8 to 12 points, like 4 rebounds. And I don't know, such a weak rookie class. Maybe that is enough. So I don't think that's a crazy pick at all.
And then Jonah, Tyrell Terry.
Oh, I wish, but no. So the guy I went with, this is sort of, I guess, a catch-22 and paradox, oxymoron, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure. For my guy, if he wins this award, I think that means the season went off the rails for the team he's on. And I fully expect that to be the case. I don't think this player's team is going to be very good. And that is Anthony Edwards. Because Anthony Edwards is a guy we saw at Georgia who was not scared to put a shot up, even if it's a terrible shot. And to be sure, the shots he took at Georgia were not high quality whatsoever. And I actually think that's going to help him in the NBA, as funny as it sounds, because like most of these players are like getting ready to take a much more difficult diet of shots. Like what we saw with Obi Toppin, just to use him as an example, because that's what Hayden said. He spent all of his season last year posting up on like 6'5" kids from like St. Bonaventure and Duquesne. And so like it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. Or LaMelo Ball, for example. I've talked a lot about how I think he's going to have a bit of a learning curve as he learns to operate within NBA offense, where he has to be a more refined playmaker and go less off feel and more off like his knowledge of reading an NBA defense. And I think Anthony Edwards, just due to this play style that he uses so often, which is just using his physical tools and the very few off the dribble moves he possesses, just using those things to create baskets in isolation, I actually think that will kind of like shorten the learning curve for him in a sense, because I think the shot diet he's going to take in the NBA is going to be not too different from the shot diet he took in college. And I don't think he'll hesitate to shoot those. Like my only concern for Anthony Edwards is just that he's going to be so bad the Timberwolves bench him. But I just have a very hard time seeing them do that with a number 1 overall pick. Like you don't put this much equity into a kid by drafting him with the number 1 overall pick and then bench him later in the year. Like I just don't see that happening. Another thing I think he has going in his favor is that I think the Timberwolves starting 3 is going to be him along with D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. D'Angelo Russell is obviously the head of the snake. He's going to be getting he's going to be getting a good defender put on him every night. Probably the best perimeter defender on the opposing team. Malik Beasley, not as much off the ball juice as D'Angelo Russell. Again, a guy who likes to shoot quite a bit, but Malik is probably the one guy on the team who you don't want to leave alone off the ball, because he's probably the quickest. Well, maybe not quicker than Edwards, but he probably has the best combination of quickness and shooting out of those 3 players. And so I think teams will put a good defender on Beasley. I think Anthony Edwards might be getting the softest matchup. And I think he'll be able to take advantage of that. I don't think his efficiency is going to be good. I don't think he's going to be a great NBA player, but I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year this year.
I'm totally with you, where if he wins Rookie of the Year, the Timberwolves are going to suck.
Yeah.
I think that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and you also got to remember they have Rubio now too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
The thing that's a crowded backcourt for sure. The thing that scares me is I don't know who Anthony Edwards is going to guard on defense. Like, no pun intended, he's going to be getting thrown to the wolves right away because like D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, both are pretty miserable defenders. And Anthony Edwards was awful in his own right at Georgia, but at least he has the physical tools to sort of compete with an NBA-sized wing with actual athleticism. So I do think he's going to be picking up some like difficult defensive assignments in his early days. And I don't know how much that's going to help or hurt his case for Rookie of the Year, just because like, I don't know. I don't think defense is the first thing that the voters look at for this award, but just something to kind of be aware of and keep track of more in relation to the success of this Timberwolves team than anything.
Yeah. You want to hear mine?
Is it a player who's so good that he doesn't even need to play in the preseason?
Yes. Are you talking about Nico Mannion?
And another Warriors.
No, James.
Yeah.
Boy, Wiseman. Yes. He's the most NBA ready player in the draft that came out of the draft.
That might be true.
I said something right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean,
NBA knowledge slightly getting better, you know?
There just aren't very many players who are like 7'2", 7'9", with like a 9'6" standing reach. I'm pretty sure those are his measurements. Like players who have that physical profile, like they just don't really fail in the NBA. Like at the very least, he's going to be like an adequate rim runner, shot blocking type with low IQ. So at the worst, he's going to be Hassan Whiteside. And then I think once he starts improving his skill and improving his feel, and just sort of like getting used to the NBA game, I think that's where like the high end upside obviously lies. But I do think like you were able to say like he's going to be able to play right away. I mean, as long as he doesn't foul out, which is like a possibility too. But I think that's a fair pick.
Is because I saw that article. So is it just a preference that Draymond just doesn't want to play preseason?
No, I'm pretty sure he had COVID too.
Oh, he did?
I think Wiseman and Green both had.
Oh, shoot. I didn't know that.
Both had it.
That's trash. Did Wiseman get it recently?
I mean, yeah, he must have gotten it recently if he's going to sit out. But luckily, Draymond's a guy who's well known for his conditioning. So I'm sure he's going to be able to fight through this setback just fine.
I want Draymond to put a little bit of weight back on, bro. Skinny Draymond hasn't been as good.
That's the opposite of what needs to happen.
All right, Wesley.
So for my pick, I also went with Obi Toppin. I was a big fan of his offensive game, and I think his offense is very polished and very NBA ready. And I think in New York with RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, I think there's going to be a lot of lob opportunities for Obi and Mitchell. So I think I just think he's going to get a lot of minutes. He's going to thrive in that big market, and I think once he starts really doing well, that New York media hype will really raise him up, and I think he'll run away with Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And Shannon was the only one amongst us who was brave enough to take the plunge and select LaMelo Ball. So there you go. We've got. I
think we've got a good shot that there's a Rookie of the Year in there.
Yeah.
All right. Now to the big boy.
Yep, the MVP.
I'm interested to see. I hope there's not a lot of overlap here. I feel it's been kind of sick though. I feel like besides Defensive Player of the Year, it's been pretty different.
Yeah. It's been fun working through these players too. I mean, this is probably the toughest NBA season to predict in any sort of fashion, like whether you're predicting team records or awards. Like this season is just going to be so wild that it's really anybody's guess.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. Hayden.
Okay. So this one's really tough for me because
I bet it is.
it's hard to pick between who I want to win it and realistically who I think is going to win it. All of these picks have been who I think is going to win with the media and everything. And there's a huge drive around Luka right now for MVP. But I think in the West, it's going to be really hard for the Mavericks to get a top seed, especially with Kristaps missing the start of the season. And I think Powell's still out for the majority of the season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So that's why I'm going with a player in the opposite conference who I think is going to lead his team to a top 2 seed along with the Brooklyn Nets. So take with that what you will. Jason Tatum is making the leap to superstar. He is going to win the MVP. Okay. I think it's a great narrative. Kemba is missing the start of the season. So I think Tatum is going to explode there. And we know after the All-Star break that Tatum's going to make another leap, just like he's done for the past two seasons. And he's going to go on a stretch of 2 weeks where he's just on fire. He's probably going to hit a couple buzzer beaters. Okay. He has a great cast around him. Okay. Now from this, you can see that the Bucks are the 3 seed. That's for another time though.
No,
I think Jason Tatum is the MVP. That's my pick. I think he's making a huge leap. With Hayward gone, Kyrie gone, that whole team of a couple years ago, it's all him now. He has the reins, especially with Kemba out.
Dude, I love that pick, dude. Nice work, Hayden.
Thank you.
I love Jason Tatum. He's awesome.
So is the Bucks for you? Is that mostly just a depth thing this year?
So I think it's a depth thing. Brooke Lopez got a year older.
Yeah.
Okay. With a year older, year slower. And I honestly think that they're going to miss Bledsoe in the regular season. Now, don't get me wrong. Drew Holiday, I'd rather have in the playoffs. But I think they're going to miss Bledsoe in the regular season. I think it's definitely a depth thing. I'm also predicting, is a little bit off topic of the awards, that Giannis is going to not go as hard in the regular season as he normally does, mainly because he's been upset with the front office. I mean, they didn't get who was it from the Kings? Why can't I think of his name? Yeah, they didn't get him. He might rest a little bit more. I think Lopez being a year older hurts them. And I just think the Nets and Celtics, the Bucks have focused so heavily on the regular season the past couple of years, and look where it's got them. You know,
True.
Not saying that the reason they've lost in the playoffs is because they've been exhausted, but I think they're not going to be as regular season centered as they have been. But that's for another time.
So what are the big improvements to Jason Tatum's game that you see him making this year?
I see him improving his points per game a whole lot. And I think a lot of it is going to be those eye-popping games. Just like, was it last year when he broke Paul George and then hit the shot? I know he hit a couple buzzer beaters last year. And I think he's going to be just that young player that the media gets behind. And I think on top of that, unlike Luka, who I so desperately want to win the MVP, I think Tatum's going to have the top seed. And out of the last 30 MVPs, all of them have been a 1 or a 2 seed, aside from Russell Westbrook's MVP season. But I mean, that's such an outlier. You know, he scored a triple-double first time in, forever. Okay. I think Tatum will get that top seed in the Eastern Conference, and I think that'll be part of it. I also think he makes a leap defensively to be really a strong contender for all defensive team. And I think he's going to have a great case for first team All-NBA too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's interesting that you say those things. We should have had you on for the Eastern Conference because I actually think the Celtics are a team that might struggle a little bit this year. But I mean, yeah, if Jason Tatum, if he gets that points per game up to 29, up to 30 points a game, that probably means that he's turning into a lead creator. I think the passing has got to be the big thing for Tatum that needs to improve, because obviously that's the one part of his offensive game that I still think he's probably working on. And especially with Kimba. Kimba's going to be out to start this year. And also I think they know for sure at this point, it's just sort of like that degenerative like knee condition he has. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see like full Kimba back again. So it's just going to be like such a different role Tatum needs to play. I mean,
I think he can improve from 3 assists. Like I think that's an insanely low number for him. Yeah. And we're just going to see bumps in all of his stats.
Yeah, he'll just improve those raw assists per game numbers just by nature of he's going to run so many more pick and rolls than he did last year. He's going to bring the ball up the court and he's going to be that lead guy on offense all the time. But yeah, I mean, totally. If the Celtics like are as good as you think they're going to be, which I mean, I wouldn't foreclose on that possibility, but if the Celtics are that good, it's because Jason Tatum is most likely playing at an MVP level. So, or because Jaylen Brown is an all-NBA player, which is another guy who could definitely step up. But that's a good pick. I like going a little bit off. I like going off the map a little bit for Jason Tatum.
Yeah,
and he is a charismatic guy too that like the media gets behind. So I do think if we see like Tatum start playing well, I do think there's going to be like a movement for him. So I don't think that's like out of the question at all. Was I going second normally? On the other ones? Okay, cool. So this was a tough pick for me to make. And I think this was kind of a hard one to think about too, because just the backdrop of this award is kind of the reality that Giannis has been the best player for the last 2 seasons, and he's going to be the best player again this season. Like, it wasn't even close last year. Like, he had, I mean, technically, according to John Hollinger and PER, which take that for what it would, like, take it with a grain of salt, but he had the most efficient season of any player in NBA history. And he was like one of 5 players to win the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, like just excels in all areas. But after leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth 2 years in a row in the playoffs, I do think that there's going to be a very real case of voter fatigue going on around the NBA landscape, which I do think is going to hurt Giannis a ton. So the other 3 guys that I really highlighted for this award are Luka Doncic, who, I mean, he's out of this group of players who I listed, probably the second best, in my opinion. I think Giannis is the only player who's better than him. I just think that Luka, like we talked about this with the Mavericks, and I'd be curious to hear what Hayden has to say about this, but I think the offense around him isn't as good. And like the Mavericks absolutely did the right thing in prioritizing defense this season. But after he set the record for most efficient offense in league history last year, I think he's going to be taking, the Mavericks in general are just there. I don't think they're going to be that team anymore. And I think missing his starting front court is going to be something that hurts Luka as well. I mean, I should have brought this up. I think Maxi Kleber is a legitimate candidate for 6th man of the year, but
love Maxi. Maxi.
So the final 2 guys I landed on were Damian Lillard and Anthony Davis. And Damian is just going to have an insane year. Like, he could easily lead the NBA in scoring. Having Nurk back is just going to be a huge stress reliever for him, as well as having competent defensive play, because he was guarding like freaking Jason Tatum and Paul George, and he was just way over his head on the defensive end. And I think not having that burden is going to be something that allows him to play way better. And then Anthony Davis, obviously I talked about him for Defensive Player of the Year, all that stuff. Like, he's a stud. But the guy I think is going to get it is not the guy who I'm going to pick, because I'm going to pick the guy who I think should be the MVP. The guy I think is going to get it is Damian Lillard, because I think the Blazers are going to be a big story this year. I think they're going to have their best season of the Damian Lillard era. This team is just so stacked around him. And Dame, he's 30, but he's probably taken the 2, if not biggest, he's taken the 2 most important leaps in terms of improvement in his career over the past 2 seasons. So he's still getting better, and he's putting in a ton of work this offseason, expanding the range. Like, I don't know about shooting from half court. Like, I believe he'll try it, and I believe he'll be effective, but I don't know how much that'll in the long run actually improves things for him. But the guy I'm going to pick is Giannis, just for all the reasons I said. Like, he's the best player in basketball. Like, he's putting up numbers that we haven't seen since prime Shaq. And even then, like, Giannis is, in some cases, Giannis Antetokounmpo are even better. So I spelled that wrong. Antetokounmpo. But while I figure out how to
Look at those
spell
numbers.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kellan, do you want to give your pick?
Yeah. So I was going to go Dame time, but also here, I'm going to go former Warrior Kevin Durant, dude. I think Kevin Durant can win the MVP. He could be on potentially the best team in basketball this upcoming season. So I'm going to go KD. Yes, sir. Got to be loyal, you know?
And Kevin Durant didn't play last year, which is why his stats are not popping up. But but that's still a good pick, though. I mean, yeah.
KD.
Yeah. Coming back from the Achilles injury too, I mean, he's got such a good shot and such a high release point that I don't think I don't think like the small drop off or in athleticism is going to like be debilitating to him too much in that sense. But as in terms of the ISO score, do you see that changing at all?
I don't know, bro. He can shoot over anybody he wants to, guy.
Yeah. I mean, getting to the rim was a big thing for him, though. And I mean, I don't know if
Jonah, don't ask me these follow-up questions, man. I'm just gonna give you my answer, and that's
that's a good pick.
That's just gonna be it, man. Because
Jonah, Kevin Durant was on my short list for MVP. I think he'll have an easy time getting to the rim because of the net spacing.
Yeah.
So even though I think he'll lose a step athletic-wise, I think the net spacing with LeVert and Dinwiddie, Irving, Joe Harris. Okay. Like I think it'll be really wide open for him, so we won't need to be as athletic.
Hayden.
Yeah.
Hayden.
What?
How many points is KD gonna average this year, dude?
I think he's only gonna average around 25.
Okay. What's Dame?
Dame?
Yeah.
Dame should average 28, 29 plus.
Okay.
And I to add on to that, I wouldn't even be surprised if Durant hit like 23 or 24.
Okay.
Because he's playing limited minutes.
Facts. I think that the Nets are going to be a gauntlet in the playoffs. It's going to be crazy.
I think Durant also has the luxury of taking some back-to-backs off. So I don't know. I think because they're a very loaded team. Like you got Dinwiddie, LeVert, Joe Harris. They got a bunch of wings. They got DeMar Carroll and everyone. So I think that might take him out of the running, but I could definitely see him winning.
Yeah, because I mean, we saw like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both had like insane seasons, and like neither of them were even near an MVP ballot last year. So I do think that load management is like, even though it doesn't seem to affect all NBA voting and all-star voting, it is, I think, a factor for MVP. So that would be something to think about for Durant. But I mean, with such a shortened season, maybe we see more people take off back-to-backs. And so maybe that levels the playing field to an extent. But yeah, it is a worthwhile concern.
All right. So for me, I had 5 candidates. So when it comes to Giannis, like I think he already won 2 years in a row. So I think there's going to be voters fatigue for him, even though I still think he's going to have an amazing season. And then there's LeBron and AD, both two amazing players. But I think since they're on the same team, I think that's going to cancel them out. So I just think also the fact that they're probably going to take some nights off here and there because they just had the season a few months ago. And then when it comes to Luka Doncic, I just don't think the Mavs will finish high enough in the standings for him to get much votes. And also the loss of Kristaps for the first month of the season, that's going to hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
Then that all comes down to Damian Lillard. And I think the Blazers gave him the best team he's ever had this season, gave him Robert Covington, probably the best wing he's played with since Batum, a healthy Nurkic, bunch of great pieces in like Derrick Jones Jr., Enes Kanter, Harry Giles. I think this is just going to be the year that the Blazers finally put it all together. And I hope they don't have any injuries.
Is that concerns. A title prediction I'm getting from Wesley?
I think.
Wow.
I think Western Conference Finals at least. That's my prediction.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna, if we can get the 2 seed, I think the media will also rally around Dame. So I think he's my pick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good pick. I mean, like I said, he was like it was neck and neck with him and Giannis, and Shannon picked Dame as well. So there's definitely some Dame fans on this sheet. So
Yes, sir, dude. Don't count out Steph. Remember him? He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
Right
usually
on.
making the playoffs is a prerequisite for MVP, but
Ouch. Stanger. That hurts a little bit, Jonah. Don't do that. Hey, we're going to make the playoffs. I picked him to win 55 games, man.
sure. And I mean, like with the play-in tournament this year, that changes the whole landscape. So
Yeah. Right
10th
on.
seed, here we come.
Yes, sir, dude. Wait, Hayden, what's your main sport? Because it seems like you know a crap ton about basketball. Are you just kind of well-versed in everything?
Yeah, I'm pretty well versed in all sports. I don't know a lot about like soccer or hockey. I mean, I know a little bit.
You don't know about
Like-
soccer? Come on, Hayden. What are you doing, dude? Come on, man.
I follow a lot of football, a lot of basketball. I watch more basketball just because it's on for a lot of the year, and I'm usually playing football when football season's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I love basketball. I like baseball enough too. I mainly just follow the Giants.
You're a San Francisco Giants fan?
Bay Area, baby.
What?
Yeah.
Hayden, why haven't you ever tried to say something? Because all I talked about during during baseball season was just Mike Yastrzemski, Alex Dickerson, dude, Mauricio Dubon. I just did Giants post games all the time.
Kellan, I would always be liking your post under the Giants and 49ers. It was great.
Oh, dude.
I would always like your comments.
Oh my gosh, that's freaking fire, man. Oh my gosh, that's sick. We're going to the playoffs this coming year, dude. We extended Dickerson. Let's go. Let's freaking and we re-signed Gosman.
Yeah.
Stop it. We just got to keep Yaz. If Yaz leaves, I'm going to be very upset. That's freaking sweet. But yeah, dude, I liked how there was a lot of different names. There wasn't a ton of overlap because this season can go a lot of different ways, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we need to think of an excuse to talk about the Mavericks so we can have Hayden back on for that, because I think they're going to be an interesting team. And
what's your prediction for the Mavs, Hayden?
What's my prediction?
Yeah, record wise.
Well, okay. When Kristaps is healthy, when we have Kristaps and Dwight Powell, okay, and we have our full team, I think we are easily a top 2 team in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The issue is I don't think we're going to have Kristaps for a long stretch of the season, because I think even once he gets back, they're going to rest him a whole lot. So I think we're probably going to be middle of the pack in the West, which is why I didn't pick Luka for MVP, just because I don't think he'll have a high enough team record. But I think in the playoffs, I am picking them for the title as long as something just absolutely doesn't go horribly wrong. They are my pick to get out of the West, and I predict that they will win the finals. But I mean that's a little bit of bias. I don't have as much bias as you do towards the Warriors. I think I'm
noticing the theme here, though. Yeah, all of our favorite teams are protecting him to get out of the West.
Wait, can I make a point before because Hayden just brought up something that I thought was very interesting. So, Kellan, you've got the Warriors going.
Look at they're at the 1 seed.
Yeah, you've got the Warriors going 55-17.
What does that have him on pace for, Jonah? A 60? What? How many wins?
Oh, during the regular season?
Yeah.
Is
it 62 or something?
63-19. So you have them on pace for a 63-win season. And yet somehow, I think in order for that to happen, amongst a number of other things, Stephen Curry has to win MVP. If Stephen Curry's not winning MVP, how are they, is Juan Toscano-Anderson just having a big year?
No. You know who's going to be having a big year?
Who?
Draymond Green.
I think in order for the Warriors...
Andrew Wiggins, dude. What are you talking about?
I think in order for the Warriors to have to hit that
They're gonna have to have a player in each of these categories winning it in order to go there.
Yeah, I think Steph's gonna have to win MVP for that to happen. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not gonna count it out, dude. If he's gonna do it, this could be the year. I mean,
Wiggins would have to be playing at like an all defensive team level for the Warriors to win all that.
let's have him do it. Let's do it. I gotta get NBA League Pass tomorrow
yeah.
because the Warriors playing the Kings, right? Something like that.
The Blazers are playing the Kings. Or the Warriors?
Oh no, we're playing the Jazz.
Okay.
I believe we're playing the Jazz. I don't know. I'm gonna dude, Hayden, one more thing here.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Bills game?
I was depressed. I was very sad.
Why did I think you were like a Bills fan?
The Bills are my number 2 team. Bills are my number 2.
Got it.
I play with the Bills on Madden.
Got it.
Love Josh Allen. On a side note, I
How
thought
can you
Josh
not?
Allen was going to be the best quarterback of that class. I called it early. I think it's shaping out pretty well. I mean, I know like Lamar's there, but still, I was so sad. We got no pass rush. I mean, without Nick Bosa, we are a trash D-line.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
we
I
are
know.
awful.
I know, dude, and it's crazy seeing Javon Kinlaw next to Josh Allen. There's not a very big size difference there. Josh Allen's a massive human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wesley.
Yeah.
What's your prediction record-wise for the Blazers?
I have them as the 2 seed. I don't know, like.
Okay, so you're with Channon on that. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I can see it. They're stacked, bro. But let's.
Oh
go.
yeah, and this goes to Wesley and Hayden. Like if either of you want to text me your like standings and predictions and stuff, just so they can be archived here in the official all year no game prediction, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And Hayden, if you ever want to get in on some of these Niner talks with me and Sheridan, bro, you're more than welcome.
I'm always down to complain about the Niners.
Don't say complain, celebrate. We're going to take out Washington football team. Oh, I want to say something. I'm a legend. I picked the Giants and Washington football team to win this week. So it is. Oh, and I picked, the Super Six on Fox. I picked both of them right. I picked Washington to win by 6, and I picked the Giants to win by like 4. So I'm just like a genie, dude. You get Daniel Jones back. Oh my God. Let's go. I find a way to talk about Daniel Jones every single episode. But yes. This was fun, guys. I like having a new quartet on here.
Yeah, this was a good episode. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
No problem.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. You guys good?
Great.
All right, right on. Thank you guys again so much. Bye-bye.
Good night, you guys.
See you guys.